Toilet paper, cigars, even eye makeup are now part of a growing list of American goods in Europe's crosshairs. The European Union has published a 400-item tariff list in retaliation for the US hike on steel and aluminium imports.
So if trade talks fail, these tariffs could hit by mid-July. A further 1,300 products could follow soon after that. For more, let's bring in Arthur Sinodinos, our former ambassador to the United States. Great to have you with us again. So how concerning is this escalation?
Well, it was to be expected that the Europeans in particular would retaliate, but some other countries are coming to Washington as we speak, seeking to negotiate deals. So you'll see a variety of responses across the board, but both the Chinese and the Europeans, I think, because of their size, are arguing that they need to sort of stand up on the tariffs and push back. But other countries in Asia, in our region, are coming to Washington seeking deals, and the UK is seeking a trade deal at the moment as well.
So is there any chance that Australia could get the 10% off?
Look, I think once the election in Australia is out of the way, whoever is Prime Minister, whether it's Albanese returned or Dutton becomes Prime Minister, I think one of the first orders of business should be to come to Washington, eyeball the President and have a discussion about the tariffs, about what we can do to maybe compensate for the tariffs being taken off. Not that we need to compensate because, you know, frankly, the Americans run a trade surplus with us and we're a great security partner, but we can look at critical minerals and other areas where there can be complementarity. And also, these days, because of AUKUS, there's a lot of trade in tech between Australia, the UK and the US that we can build on. That's something the UK is looking to do with the US. We can build on that as well.
Arthur, with this election window, are we going to miss our chance? I mean, we know that Donald Trump, he's not the most patient of blokes. If we're not knocking on his door now and trying to get a deal done now, we're going to miss it?
Look, it is, you're right, the election complicates things, but a leader is better off going to Washington when they've got a mandate from the Australian people, fresh from an election, and say to Donald Trump, this is what Australians want. I think it adds credibility to whoever is the leader in going to Washington. But you're right, there are a lot of countries beating a path to America's door. But I think we have a better case than a lot of them, as does the UK. We're both at 10%, and both of us are not a great trade irritant to the US.
The opposition here says Albo made a mistake by not flying over there sooner, before the election, did he?
Well, look, I mean, I was in favour of the Prime Minister coming over here straight after Trump was elected, because I thought it was important for Australia to put some markers in the ground about our relationship with the US and remind them of how essential we are to their security. But the judgment was made back in Australia that there'd be a series of phone calls and maybe some ministerial meetings, and maybe there are other issues at work because of the domestic politics in Australia. But what I'm saying now is once the election's out of the way, we've got to crack on.
Arthur, always good to chat. Thank you.